Hey, how's it going, people? This is Johnny. In today's Pokemon Go video, we're going to go over the top 5 strongest Pokemon in Pokemon Go. Now, first of all, I want to mention that this will not include the legendaries or the Pokemon that aren't able to be unlocked at the moment. So this will only include the Pokemon that you can currently use in Pokemon Go. Number 5, Golduck. Now, Golduck is actually a pretty weird Pokemon to be on this list, but I actually believe that this Pokemon is really strong, and I really like Golduck for the simple reason that it can learn Water Gun and Ice Beam. The reason Water Gun is really important for Golduck to learn is because when you use a Golduck with Water Gun, it really does a lot of damage and fast speed at throwing the Water Gun at your opponent. This Pokemon will keep damaging your opponent on and on and on when it has Water Gun. And as well, it even has Ice Beam. If you can manage to get a Golduck with Ice Beam, it's super awesome, because if you're going to face against a Dragonite, it's going to be super effective against that Pokemon. And that's why Golduck made it to my top 5, because usually when I use Golduck, I always take over many gyms when I use Golduck. Number 4, Slowbro. Now, Slowbro is actually a pretty good Pokemon simply because it gives you a really good defense when you use Slowbro in a Pokemon gym. This Pokemon will stand in that gym for a long time, and it will be really hard for your opponent to take over it. Not only that, but Slowbro also learns Water Gun and as well as Ice Beam, so that gives you an advantage against Dragon-type Pokemon or even other Pokemon that may be weak against ice attacks. But Slowbro is definitely a really strong defensive Pokemon, and I believe this is one of the top ones that you should get if you are able to get a Slowbro. Number 3, Clefable. Now, Clefable is actually a pretty strong Pokemon, believe it or not. This Pokemon holds its defense pretty well, and the reason why I chose it for number 3 is because this Pokemon, if you put it at a gym, it's going to take a long time for your opponent to take out Clefable. The reason why Clefable is super strong is because it has a really good, decent defense, and it has little weaknesses, in my opinion, when you use Clefable. The other thing that has an advantage for Clefable is that it is a Fairy-type Pokemon, so it actually has some Fairy-type moves that you can use, which you can use to advantage of other Pokemon that have the weaknesses of Fairy-types. And Fairy-types usually tend to be really strong, especially since this one can learn Moonblast. So I recommend Clefable. In my opinion, it's a really good Pokemon. Number 2, Dragonite. Now, Dragonite is one of those Pokemon that I think also have a really good defense, in my opinion, but it also has pretty good strong attacks, in my opinion, as well. This Pokemon can learn Dragon, and it has very, very low weaknesses depending on what your opponent may have in the Pokemon, and I think it holds up pretty strong, and as well as it can gather a lot of CP. This Pokemon is absolutely strong, and I would recommend you get one of these, but it's kind of hard to get it because you either have to catch it in the wild or you have to get a bunch of Dratinis in order to get this Dragonite. And Dragonite is definitely a strong Pokemon in Pokemon Go. In my opinion, it has hold down gyms for a while as well. And for the final, number 1 Pokemon is Gyarados. Now, Gyarados is one of the hardest Pokemon to get in Pokemon Go, unless you capture it in the wild. But getting 400 Magikarp candies is pretty hard to get Gyarados. But it actually pays off because Gyarados is a pretty strong Pokemon. This Pokemon will do fast damage depending on the moves that you get, like Bite, for example. It really does really good damage against your opponents, and it also learns other moves as well. Gyarados is one of the strongest Pokemon. It gets a bunch of CP, and it's always up there, and it's a pretty high Pokemon. If you're managed to get a Gyarados, I would definitely recommend to have this in your Pokemon team, because this Pokemon is absolutely crazy. So Gyarados is definitely my number 1 in my opinion at the moment. I know there's some other Pokemon that are pretty good as well. Now, thank you for watching this video, and let me know in the comments section what you think about these Pokemon. Now, I know that there's many more that are also strong, which we may have to do a second video on the list of stronger Pokemon, but these are the ones that I decided to choose right off the bat because these are my favorite ones. In my opinion, I use these all the time, and this is how I take gyms. So let me know in the comment section what you think about these Pokemon, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.